evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome. And continue to go to the bar and go to the buffet. I'm just a warm-up act, so I'm going to let you know how things are going to go tonight. My name is Jim Johnson. I'm a Peoria Historical Society trustee and one of your hosts tonight, along with Ed Berry and the Honorable Ray LaHood. And we really appreciate everyone coming out tonight to support the Peoria Historical Society. As you can see from the sign, our mission is to preserve, share, and celebrate the stories of Peoria, and tonight is all about the celebrate part. This is our largest annual fundraiser, and we're so thankful that you're all here, united by a love for our special city and its heritage, and supporting our society with your time and money. Among our group of Peoria history lovers, there are no greater devotees, and dare I say scholars, than this year's DeTonti honorees. We're here tonight to honor Dr. John and Marilyn Leyland. Your program contains a nice biography of these two native Peorians, and their lifelong friend, Ray LaHood, will share some personal recollections about John and Marilyn in our keynote. And by the time tonight is over, we may even learn something about who this DeTonti fella is too. Much more about that later. Our formal program is going to begin in 10 or 15 minutes, so as I said, please continue to fill your plates at the buffet and get some drinks. The food here from Cracked Pepper is amazing, and it's all calorie free. And the Warehouse on State team has been a delight to work with through this process. Let's give our servers a nice round of applause. You may have noticed we have some young people up here playing music for us. They're from Youth Music Illinois, which for the history buffs in the room, which I think is about everybody, was founded in 1965 by Peoria Public School educators as the Central Illinois Youth Symphony. It's essentially our regional all-star team for symphonic musicians. We're also pleased to welcome Youth Music Illinois' director of the Suzuki School of Music, Laura Otto. Laura, please raise your hand. And Laura, thanks for sharing your students with us this evening. Let me introduce these wonderful musicians. On first violin, Ava Otto from Eureka High School and Nathan Park from Morton High. On second violin, Mia Frieden from Metamora High School. On viola, Aria Kim from U High and Normal, and Abigail Fitch, who is homeschooled. On cello, Ronan Weaver from Pekin High School. And on bass, Anna Fitch, who is also homeschooled. Now, I didn't realize this until about a week ago, but this is the debut appearance of these musicians in a public forum like this, so they're going to play for us one last piece. It lasts about 5 minutes. It's an excerpt from Mozart's String Quartet No. 4. And let's give them a big Peoria Historic Society welcome. A round of applause.
Let's give one more round of, is that working? Let's give one more round of applause to the wonderful musical group and, is it turned off? Is it on? Yeah. Okay. We'll give them a minute or two to gather up their instruments and then we'll continue with the program. Bonsoir. Bonsoir et bienvenue. Je voudrais ajouter mon accueil chaleureux à celui de mon coprésident de l'avènement, M. Jim Johnson. La Société de l'Histoire de Peoria est honorée et ravie que vous soyez tous ici avec nous ce soir pour célébrer Henri DeTonti, pour célébrer l'histoire riche et variée de Peoria et pour célébrer la vie d'engagement communautaire passionnée de Jean et Marilyn Leyland. Apologies for that, but I felt that an event named in honor of a Frenchman, credited with the creation of our fair city well over 300 years ago, which itself was once located in the middle of La Nouvelle France, or New France, needed to have at least a few words spoken in the Frenchman's native language. Even if my French from many years ago studying architecture in Versailles is horrifically rusty at this point. So I appreciate your indulgence, and to repeat in English, which is much better than my French, I would like to add my very warm welcome to that of my event co-chair, Jim Johnson. The Peoria Historical Society is honored and delighted that you are all here tonight to celebrate Henri DeTonti, to celebrate Peoria's rich and varied history, and certainly to celebrate the incredible lifetime of passionate community engagement of both John and Marilyn Leyland. We know that you all have busy schedules and lots to do, so we appreciate you taking some time out this evening. One last shout out. I'm not sure if everyone is here that I'm going to mention, but I'd like to give a nod to our elected officials and our emeritus elected officials. And from my latest list, I'd like to give a nod to Ray LaHood, John Morris, Sid Ruckriegel, Andrew Rand, Dave Kaler, Rita Ali, Michael Vespa, Dennis Sear, and Bob Manning. These people every day give to the city, the county, the state, and the federal, and the country. There is an excellent written account of Henri DeTonti's adventures throughout New France, prepared by the Peoria Historical Society and available by a very simple Google search. I'm certainly not going to repeat all of that tonight, but simply remind you of a couple fun facts or information about this gentleman. Monsieur DeTonti was actually born in central Italy in 1649, but he and his family had to seek political refuge in Paris shortly after his birth. His Italian name was Enrico DeTonti with a Y, not an I. At the age of 19, he joined the French Army, and then later also served in the French Navy. And at the age of 28, Henri first traveled to North America with Robert Benet Cavalier, Sieur de la Salle. And then, over the next 26 years, before his death in 1704, he would become one of the most significant French explorers, fur traders, and developers of the mid-continent. I'm told he was a man of bravery and leadership, thus part of why the Historical Society has chosen him as the moniker for our Leadership Award each year. As importantly to me, or maybe most importantly, was his peaceful coexistence with the various Native American peoples of the region, which set a very important example of patience, conciliation, and diplomacy. And certainly, most important to all of us gathered here tonight was the fact that his trading concession, established in 1691, the first European outpost along the western shores of the Lake Pimaitua, is the way I've been told it's supposed to be pronounced, of Lake Pimaitua, which ultimately became the foundation for the city of Peoria. This trading concession was owned by Henri and several of his French colleagues, but it also included nearby settlements of 6 Native American groups, namely the Kaskaskia, the Peoria, the Monguena, and forgive me, I'm not going to pronounce these last 3 properly, the Corsontantanan, the Tamorara, and the Tapora. And again, I'm sure I mangled those badly. In the fall of 1700, crowded conditions and some social unrest in this initial Peoria settlement caused several of the Illinois peoples to head southward, especially the Kaskaskia. And in 1702, Henri himself left for New Orleans, and the French Louisiana Territory made him ambassador to the Choctaw and the Chickasaw Native American peoples until 1704, when unfortunately he passed away from yellow fever. So again, because of this important place in Peoria's history, the Historical Society for the last dozen years has honored both individuals and organizations in our community who have contributed to the community and made an important impact on our community. So without further ado, I have the privilege tonight of introducing 3 such leaders as part of our program, the first of which is our Honorable Mayor, Dr. Rita Ali. I believe she has something important to tell us about our recipients tonight and about her thoughts on DeTonti. Dr. Ali, the podium is all yours.
Thank you, Ed. That was a beautiful introduction. I am so happy to be here tonight with all of you at the Peoria Historical Society's 2024 DeTonti Award celebration honoring Dr. John and Marilyn Leyland. I'm proud to be a lifelong Peorian, and I often refer to Peoria's remarkable and diverse history, about how the Native Americans lived here for thousands of years because of the abundance of fresh water, the rich soil, the plentiful game. About how the French explorers, after several visits, saw the wisdom of these Native Americans and established a settlement that would grow into Peoria. About how we became the whiskey capital of the world, and as Prohibition shut that business down, about how the tractor business, leveraging our great workforce and centralized location, emerged to drive our economy. And about how now we are a significant regional medical center and a growing innovation hub. History always marches on. The Peoria Historical Society's mission to preserve, share, and celebrate the stories of Peoria is one that's very close to my heart. When I was asked to participate at tonight's festivities honoring John and Marilyn, I was thrilled to be included. At the October 22nd Peoria City Council meeting, we passed a proclamation to commemorate this evening. Let me read it to you. Whereas founded in 1934, the Peoria Historical Society is the only local institution focused exclusively on the rich history of Peoria. And whereas the mission of the Peoria Historical Society is to preserve, share, and celebrate stories of the Peoria area. And whereas Native Peorians, Dr. John and Marilyn Leyland, have long been leaders in researching, developing, and sharing stories about Peoria's diverse history. And whereas the Peoria Historical Society's annual Henry DeTonti Award is the organization's highest honor and will be celebrated this year at this event, Thursday, November 14th. And whereas the Henry DeTonti Award is given to those who have spent their lives in leadership positions that help promote our city. Now therefore I, Rita Ali, Mayor of the City of Peoria, Illinois, and on behalf of the Peoria City Council, do hereby recognize and celebrate Dr. John and Marilyn Leyland as the recipients of the Peoria Historical Society's 2024 Henry DeTonti Award in Peoria, Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. The second honored guest that I'm delighted to introduce is Dr. James Paul. He is the Illinois ambassador to the French Heritage Quarter, and he traveled from the big city of Chicago to be with us tonight. He is a real powerhouse of history of all things Illinois, all things French, and how those two interconnect. Dr. Paul?
Merci beaucoup, Ed, and thank you, Elizabeth, for inviting me tonight. Mayor Ali and other distinguished friends of the Peoria Historical Society. It's an honor to be with you, and I want you to know that I actually am a little south of Chicago in Bourbonnais, Illinois, so it wasn't quite as long a drive as it could have been. And I'm representing not only the French Heritage Corridor, which is 7 states in the Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Missouri, where the French made their imprint. And a lot of people don't know that. The public is still, oh, this was a French colony at one time. And so whenever you want to work on that, we really are here to help out. So I retired from Kankakee Community College and went to become the president of the Bourbonnais Grove Historical Society, which is to honor and preserve the French Canadians who came down in the 1830s. That part of Illinois was vacant. As the Potawatomi were compelled to leave west of the, and move west of the Mississippi, the French Canadians moved in for various reasons. The opportunity to become part of this French Heritage Corridor began in 2021 when, as the pandemic was winding down, my friend Dr. Charles Belize said, "Wouldn't you like to drive down to Prairie du Rocher, Southern Illinois?" I said, no, it's 5 hours away, May of 2021, but I did, and I think I probably said a little bit too much, and so I was eventually appointed Illinois ambassador to this 7-state corridor. And our purpose is, the French Heritage Corridor is this. It's all of us trying to preserve the French history, the French Canadian history, and that heritage. And it's not just a human platform, but it's a platform that's also a website. And I have some materials with me with a QR code. You can find that website. You can find the interactive map that I designed, although I have an intern that actually puts the sites on there. And when you go to the site, the website, French Heritage Corridor, look at that interactive map and see what's not there in the Peoria region that is of French heritage that should be there. And if there's a link that isn't working, let me know. My email is on the website. We also have a calendar of events. So whenever you, and I put this on the calendar of events, I thought this was something that has to be on there every year. So whenever you have a French heritage related event, let me know. And as John Morris knows from the Riverfront Museum, I post on that calendar of events whenever they have a display that relates to anything in our French heritage. And we also have educational modules at the bottom of our website and an Illinois State module. And I'd like for you to look at that and see what needs to be put in there for the Peoria area. If it's not complete enough, please let me know. There are grants available for any time you're restoring a site of French heritage. You can apply for a grant. We did for the Bourbonnais Grove First Log Schoolhouse, originally built in 1837, and received $16,000 grant from the Chicago Midwest chapter of the French Heritage Society. The French Heritage Corridor is part of their initiative. Also, our annual conference is next year on April the 24th, a Thursday, at Washington University in St. Louis. If you can't attend in person, and I'll send you invitations, you can attend via Zoom. I have lots of brochures. I have a brochure of the French Heritage Quarter and the Bourbonnais Grove Historical Society with our QR code so that we can stay linked. It's such a pleasure to be here. Au revoir, mes amis.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. The last special guest that I have the privilege of introducing is the honorary chair of our event, as Jim Johnson had mentioned earlier, the Honorable Ray LaHood, whom I think it is fair to say is one of our most passionate and engaged leaders here in Peoria. Former U.S. Secretary of Transportation, U.S. Congressman, member of the Illinois House of Representatives, graduate of both Spalding Institute and Bradley University. It just doesn't get any better than that in our fair city of Peoria. So I'm delighted and honored to introduce Secretary LaHood. The floor is yours.
As many of you know, I do not speak French, so there's no way. That was a marvelous, marvelous presentation. Well, I am delighted to see all of you. Thank you for supporting the Peoria Historical Society. This organization is one of the most important organizations in our community because it captures the history of our community in so many different ways. And when Liz Kleiss asked me if I would be a part of this evening and honor John and Marilyn, the answer was immediately yes. I couldn't tell from the program if Liz and her staff were going to be recognized, but they deserve recognition for all the good, many, many things they do. So Liz and Maureen and Janet, stand up and be recognized, please. I like probably a lot of you, I remember Liz's parents, Tom and Marge Kleiss. And I remember Marge very well because when I started campaigning in 1994, we needed to rent a place to run our campaign. And Marge had a building downtown here on Perry. And she was a very, very tough landlord. She was making no contributions to my campaign. I think she was a Democrat actually, but I was happy to rent from her for a number of years, and she owned the big house right next to it, and her and Tom were both extraordinary people, and those of you that knew them know what I'm talking about. And so Liz, thank you for all that you do in our community to continue the long, rich history of the Peoria Historical Society. I also want to give a shout out to two people without which this organization wouldn't have the great reputation that it has. And one is a dear cousin of mine, Gloria LaHood, who spends so many hours at the Peoria Historical Society. Gloria, thank you for all your time and effort and energy. I'm a little prejudicial because she is a dear family member also, but I'm doing it because of her commitment to the Peoria Historical Society. And Jim Baldwin. Jim, thank you for everything you've done over the years for this organization. You're phenomenal. Thank you. So I'm going to say a few words about John and Marilyn, much of which is already printed in the program. But I want to recognize, John and I went to grade school together. Both of our schools are closed, by the way. John and I went to St. Bernard's. Unfortunately, that school is closed, and as is the church, which is the way things are happening these days, and also Spalding, which is also closed, which I know is a great source of consternation for still some people, not me at all, but John and I went to St. Bernard's and Spalding together, and John was the smartest kid in our school, particularly at St. Bernard's. Now, he wasn't the valedictorian at Spalding. There was another fellow from St. Bernard's named Harold Burns, who was the valedictorian in our class. We graduated from Spalding in 1963. All of us knew that John was going to have a special vocation, occupation, because he was so damn smart. And he was smart. A lot smarter than I was, and one of the smartest people that I've known. And Marilyn was the valedictorian of her class. Now, when we were going to Spalding, the girls were at the academy across the street, and some of you know this because you attended these schools. And to be honest with you, the boys didn't really know the girls that well. I mean, we didn't attend classes together. We might see them, once in a while at the center on the weekends, which was a kind of a gathering place in the basement of Spalding. But Marilyn was valedictorian. And in honor of both of them tonight, many of our classmates from 1963 are here to honor them. So all of you Spalding and Academy grads, stand up and show all these folks why you're here and supporting John and Marilyn. Come on, stand up. There's a bunch here. Marilyn and I got reacquainted a few years ago when we were on a committee to organize our class reunions. And Marilyn ran the show, as you can imagine. She really did. It was Marilyn's way or the highway. I mean, we'd have these discussions, but in the end, Marilyn would prevail, and it was almost always good. This last year, not always, but almost always. And at that point, I kind of got reacquainted with John, who is an outstanding physician, anesthesiologist. And I told John, I know your pain sometimes, John, because I've been serving with Marilyn on this committee. We just had our 60th class reunion, and we decided to meet at our house for these meetings. And again, I thought I was going to be in charge. Marilyn took charge. We had a great 60th class reunion last year, mainly because Marilyn just took it upon herself to do all the work. The extraordinary thing about these two people is, with very busy jobs, John, an outstanding physician, he started volunteering in 2006, and he'll probably tell this story. And I'm sorry if I'm taking your story away, but John tells the story that he was walking out the door in 2006 after retiring from being an anesthesiologist, and Marilyn was telling him about her involvement with the Peoria Historical Society, and John got involved. John gives some of the best tours, and he's going to tell you about it because he's got his remarks written there, and he was good enough to share them with me, so he's going to tell you. The value of John and Marilyn Leland, and all of you know this because you're all great volunteers. The Peoria Historical Society could not exist without the John and Marilyn Lelands of Central Illinois. And many of you in this room, as we honor them tonight, we honor you because you volunteer and you contribute and you are the rich part of our history of Central Illinois. So thank you to all of you. So if you're a volunteer for the Peoria Historical Society, we're honoring you. Please stand up. We want to honor you. Stand up. Come on, all of you. Many of you in this room. Thank you. Thank you so much. We have to understand our history in order to make progress and move forward and understand who the people are that made Peoria the great, wonderful city that it is. And no one has done that better than John and Marilyn Leland. And in honoring them tonight, we honor all those who volunteer in the Peoria Historical Society and contribute so much to our community. So, I think it's important to recognize them, but to also recognize all of you. Marilyn spent 15 years working at Caterpillar in public affairs, contributed a lot in that, and it just has continued on. John, as I said, outstanding physician, anesthesiologist, and now volunteers at the Peoria Historic Society and does so much. So thank you all for being here. This is an important fundraiser because the Peoria Historic Society, frankly, gets its resources from all of you at this event tonight. And so we're grateful to each one of you for opening up your checkbooks and being here and contributing to this phenomenal organization. Thank you all for being here.
John and Marilyn, could you come up, please?
Let's do it. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, right here.
So, yeah, there we go. Now we can get a picture. So on behalf of the Peoria Historical Society, we are just pleased to give you the 2024 Henri DeTonti Award for leadership in Peoria. Thank you.
First of all, thank you. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Jim, Susie, Ed, everybody, especially, you folks. We are humbled by this award, and we accept it as surrogates for all of those who've spent time and effort. The Historical Society is such a valuable part of our community. I know that my mom and dad would be very proud of this, as would my grandparents. They all loved learning and sharing Peoria history. I stand on their shoulders, otherwise I'd be really short. No one accomplishes good things all by themselves. PHS has been sustained by the passionate volunteers from the very beginning. On a personal note, and Ray kind of upstaged me, but of all the people in the society who've inspired me, I'd like to pay special tribute to dear Gloria LaHood. I am thrilled that she's here today. She has mentored and encouraged so many, including obviously Ray, even though he's not one of her children. But my 15 years of experience at Caterpillar provided wonderful opportunities. Then I had nearly a dozen subsequent years as a board member for the Illinois State Historical Society, including office as vice president. And that gave me even more ways to highlight Peoria history. So before we are history, we thank PHS for this honor, and we thank all of you for your gifts of time, talent, and treasure. Thank you for your commitments to the Peoria Historical Society, and keep on making history. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. To say that we were astounded when we got the phone call asking us to accept this award has to be the understatement of the year. We looked at each other and said, "What?" And decided that finally, as Marilyn said, we're accepting this award as surrogates for all of the rest of you who have given so much time to the Peoria Historical Society. I want to particularly remember all of the people who for decades have cleaned and maintained and decorated the museum houses. They have put in uncountable hours and really deserve our thanks. Now, I've sat here and watched my speech disappear little by little. So I'll go on with what's left. I think that too many people, when they hear the word history, say, "Oh yeah, dusty, boring stories about dead people." Well, history is so much more than that. It's no secret that our city of Peoria faces challenges today, but I think we can take real encouragement and reassurance in the history of the forebears who have remade our city over and over, several times, sometimes under great duress. So we know that in the 1690 run, René Robert Chevalier Sieur de La Salle and Henri DeTonti came here and established their fort, mission, and trading post. And from that date until 1829, Peoria remained just that, the trading post era. 1829 saw possibly the most important event in Peoria history. The first steamboat pulled up to the Peoria landing. And that changed everything. Immigrants began to pour in from all over the world, spread out over the prairies, and Peoria's population grew tenfold in 25 years to supply their needs. But some of those immigrants, like the Bradley family, Joseph Benedict Greenhut from Austria, the Woolner brothers from Hungary, did something else. They made Peoria a wealthy boomtown based on the distillation of bourbon whiskey. Peoria became the whiskey capital of the world. Take our tour and hear the proof. But of course, we all know that that came crashing down. In 1918 with Prohibition, all of a sudden it was gone, and Peoria had to remake itself again. Fortunately, about 7 years before, in 1910, Murray Baker brought the Holt Tractor Company from Stockton, California to build their crawler tractors in East Peoria. And the rest, as they say, is history. R.G. Letourneau, a genius inventor and engineer, rebuilt the old Avery plow factory to produce his earth-moving equipment, and together Captain Letourneau made Peoria the world center of innovation and manufacturing in the heavy equipment industry. That, of course, continues to this day with Cat and Komatsu. But in about 2005, I was listening to the local news one night and heard that the Peoria Medical Center now employed more people locally than Caterpillar. So another change. In 1970, the University of Illinois Medical School announced UNICOM, University of Illinois College of Medicine at Peoria. Now, Peoria was already very active in medical education. The hospitals had nursing schools. They also had medical residencies in family practice, internal medicine, surgery, obstetrics and gynecology, and pediatrics. But the medical school added to that. It was a focus. It brought in researchers and new specialists, basic scientists to teach the medical students, and of course the students themselves. Nothing keeps a doctor sharper than bright medical students asking questions. So the medical center. Peoria has reinvented itself many times, but we know history can't stand still. There are going to be other chapters and more illustrious names. So it's time for us to get ready. Marilyn and I want to thank you again so much for this award, and have a good night.
That's a tough act to follow. John and Marilyn have forgotten more about history than I will ever learn, I'm afraid. Excuse me. I'm Susie Poppenhouse, and I'm president of the Peoria Historical Board, and we are so pleased to have everyone here. We can't thank John and Marilyn enough for accepting this award. No two people deserve it more. Over the past 2 years, as president, I have witnessed some amazing changes and improvements in our programs and offerings, etc. We have new committees that have devised lectures and tours, which you know about our bus tours and our walking tours. We have very knowledgeable historians who have given tours and lectures at Springdale Cemetery Mausoleum. We had a visit to the Lincoln Branch Library, which if you have never been there, which I had not been until recently, it's an amazing little library, and the history behind it as to what people did to try to preserve it from getting knocked down. It's just incredible. I highly recommend it. We had the opportunity to tour an artist's garden. Jan Powers, she opened her garden over on Moss Avenue, and we were able to take visitors over there to learn about everything that she had to share with us. We had an exhibit of female artists through a feminine lens, and it was visions of Peoria by these artists. These are just a few of the things that we have developed and offered. Of course, we always have our tours at our wonderful house museums, the Pet and Gil Morton House on Moss, and the John C. Flanagan House over on Glen Oak. Those are always available, and in the summer, we have our bus tours, our walking tours. There's always something going on with Peoria Historical Society. We do plan on offering these type of programs along with new programs in 2025, and we hope you'll join us for those. As has been mentioned many times tonight, this is our biggest fundraiser for the year. We do have, a cheap plug here, we do have our holiday home tour coming up in December 7th and 8th. It has grown over the years from maybe 300 to 400 people coming through on a given weekend to over 1,000 people coming in. And it's by the generosity of homeowners who open their private homes to share with us the history of their homes, the architecture, etc. And of course, our house museums are on the tour as well. So mark your calendars for December 7th and 8th. That's when this holiday home tour will be taking place this year. We do this year, normally we only have 4 private homes. This year we have 6, along with the other 2. We have some wonderful condos, some beautiful historic homes. It's going to be another exciting year. And we also will be kicking off a capital campaign as well as a community partnering program in the near future. And we hope we can count on you to join us in supporting our efforts to keep Peoria's rich history alive. We have a saying in the office and on our website: why not join something that you're already a part of? History. I borrowed that. Borrowed that from the website. I didn't make it up myself. We do have membership forms at the check-in table. And for those who want to make a donation, possibly to help support our mission, you'll see QR codes on the table. And all you have to do is simply click your phone and it will take you to the site to do so. So we welcome you and hope you will help us preserve, share, and celebrate Peoria's interesting and very rich history. Thank you all so much for coming. Please continue to enjoy the evening. There's food, the bar is still open, and please continue to enjoy your evening. Thank you so much.
Well, that ends our program. I, again, just wanted to thank everyone for coming. The bar and the food will be here till 8:30 or so please avail yourself of that. And Ray LaHood beat me to the punch a little bit. I just, these events, there's always dozens of people to thank. It doesn't happen by itself. I just want to call out a couple. Jam Powers, thank you for the lovely table decorations. Your creativity always comes through and it's much appreciated. And our staff, especially our executive director, Liz Kleiss. She is just a marvel. If the people in the room knew how many hundreds of hours she spent on this event, you would just be astounded. And Liz, you always never fail to impress me. You're always responsive, and you really keep this organization together. I don't know what we do without you. Thank you.